Today, I'm speaking with Gordon Firemark. I am very excited for this conversation. We connected a while back, and he's just been such an amazing resource for not only myself, but also my clients when it comes to anything legal. Because trust me, I don't know the first thing about legal, but being a professional in the podcast industry, people think I do. People come to me all the time and are like, I want to monetize my podcast, but I don't know the legal steps. And to that, I say, I don't know either. Go talk to Gordon. So I am very excited that he is here today to speak with us.
Well, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me, Haley.
Absolutely. So I would love to hear how you coined yourself as the podcast lawyer and what that really entails.
Well, so as you said, I am the podcast lawyer. I have been practicing entertainment and media and business law since 1992. So somewhere along there, about halfway since then to now, podcasting became a thing. I started as a podcaster doing a show called Entertainment Law Update. We just recorded our 138th monthly episode earlier today.
Wow.
Almost
That's
13
awesome.
years. Yeah. And along the way, I started thinking, well, I'm an entertainment lawyer. I should probably just look into, what the law relating to podcasting is. And I found no resources. So I wrote a book called The Podcast Blog and New Media Producers Legal Survival Guide. It's an ebook that sort of went, studying and writing a book sort of makes you into an expert. And so I started helping other podcasters figure out their legal stuff and staying on the legal straight and narrow and protecting their assets and things. And I decided to brand myself as the podcast lawyer with a little TM after it. And that signifies a common law trademark, which is not fully protected under the federal US registration system because it's a sort of a descriptive term. And as we get into talking about trademarks, descriptiveness is a part of a spectrum. Federal trademark, I should say, protects distinctive terms. So I'm building that awareness and distinctiveness by getting the minds of the public to connect the dots between this descriptive term and me specifically.
Yeah. So you work with clients more independently, correct?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not exactly sure what you mean by independently, but most of my clients are small business owners, small podcasting, solo podcasters or small podcast networks. I've worked with a few of the platforms and bigger companies from time to time, usually on one-off deals and those kinds of things. So
okay, that's awesome. And so when you first got into law, media and entertainment law, what type of clients did you have in the very beginning?
So when I began my practice, I had been, while I was in law school, I'd been working at a couple of the different television and movie studios. So that was sort of my intended client base. I started out doing what we call legal and business affairs, which is the deals, the transactions in that area, film, television. I did music for the first few years of my career as well. Music law is a whole other game that involves some personalities, and personally, I found it an unsavory business. So I got out. I'm not going to get too far into the details on that, but I got out of the music side, representing young artists in various genres. It was just not my cup of tea. So film, television, and a live theater is a big early passion of mine. And so I'm also branded as the theater lawyer as well. But
very cool. I had no idea.
Yeah. So, diversifying a little bit, it's good to be in a niche, but it's also good to have a couple of niches so that when one goes quiet or slows down, the other one picks up. And I have to say, I'm very fortunate. Here we are coming out of, hopefully coming out of this year or two of pandemic, where movies and television and theater weren't happening. So I was very fortunate to have the digital side business, the podcasting, live streaming, and those kinds of things covered as well to sort of keep the doors open and the lights on. And it's worked out nicely for me. So
yeah, because as movies and theater kind of went away for a little bit, podcasts were popping up everywhere.
Yes.
I speak with podcasters every single day, and one of the offers that I have is a free podcast audit where they can see where they are, what they're doing right, what they need to improve on. And my first question is, when did you start your podcast? And usually it's sometime in 2020.
Yep. And
Usually.
that's an interesting thing because it's real easy to start a podcast. It's not so easy to make a podcast really a go of it and keep going at it. And I think I get to say that with 13 years under my belt.
Exactly. That's amazing. That's amazing. I love that you have so many different niches that you work with, but they're all very specific, right? They're all based off of your values and your personality.
Absolutely.
And like you said, music wasn't quite your thing, but you found something that was. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
a lot of people who listen to this are either still in their 9 to 5 and doing their business as a side hustle, wanting to go more into their business. They're just trying to figure it out. And so you would be a great person to give some advice on niching down and just kind of going for it.
Yeah, I would say if I have to give some advice, if you are going to go out on your own or start any business, really, whether it's on your own or with a group, it's important to have very clear focus on who your market is, who your audience, your ideal customers, clients are. What is the problem that they have that you are going to solve? And what is the nature of your solution? That's your product, ultimately, or service. And trying to be all things to all people is a recipe for being nothing to anybody, really. You might make a go of it for a while and then it'll stagnate. But when you really know who you're talking to, you can tailor your marketing message, you can tailor your solutions to their specific needs. So maybe it's, moms with young children at home, or maybe it's moms whose kids have left home and they're dealing with the empty nest and they want to do something different with their lives, or make a change or get fit, or whatever it is. So niche down is really, really important, and be as specific as possible in crafting that ideal customer avatar, because it will inform how you think about them. And you may feel like you're only talking to one person, but everybody who hears it will think you're talking to them.
Absolutely. Because when you know who you want to help, it'll be so much easier to find them.
Absolutely.
And doing that market research in the beginning is so important, because you may think they want one item or one service, and then you actually talk to them and they want something totally different. And so
that talk to them is key. Listen to what they say and how they say it, and then reflect that back at them. That's because then they'll think you're inside their head and know their next thought too.
Yeah, exactly. And not going in it directly for sales, more for knowledge. And then the sales come later once you build the trust with the whole ideal audience. So when someone is starting off their business, it can be scary to invest, right? A lot of people think about investing in business coaches, mindset coaches, money coaches. Not a lot of people think about the legal side of things and protecting what they're working so hard for. Can you talk about when someone first needs to think about finding a lawyer?
It's going to be different for every person, but for every business. But I would say that the legal aspects of things is kind of like pouring the foundation for your house. Before you build the structure, before you build the above ground part of things, you have to lay the foundation, and a stable, solid foundation makes everything easier going forward. And so I say, of course I'm a lawyer, so I would say, but getting involved with a lawyer, getting a lawyer onto your team early is important, because it will help you lay that foundation, level the ground, even things out, so you can build what you intend to build in your vision from the ground up with as few hurdles and roadblocks and friction points as possible.
Yeah. So when you are starting your business or your podcast, whatever it may be, and you want to protect it, what are some of the first steps we should take?
Well, I'll say that, starting any kind of an enterprise, any kind of a business or a venture, whether it's a podcast or making a movie or a play, or just launching a retail store, you've got to have sort of 4 cornerstones or pillars. And those are having I say legit a legit business structure in place. That is a corporation or limited liability company or something which provides a shield for your personal assets, that separates you from your stuff from the business's stuff. At the very least, if you're working with a team, with a partnership, you want a partnership agreement or something to clarify who owns what and how is it going to be handled and who gets the profits and those kinds of things. So having some kind of a business structure is important. Going it just seat of the pants it works for some people, but it's dangerous if something happens. If you do end up in a partnership with a team, there may be disagreements and misunderstandings, and getting things in writing is a great way to avoid that. The whole purpose is getting things in writing to avoid those things. So the pillar number one is the business structure. Pillar number two is the team structure. Anybody who's coming in to help you, work with you in your enterprise, whatever it is, should have a clear written definition of what their jobs are, what their role is, and the nature of the relationship. Are they an employee? Are they an independent contractor? Who owns what they create? If they create stuff for you, are they a co-owner? Do they get a piece of the action? What piece, and how do you measure? All of those kinds of things need to be thought through. Even the vendors and the the freelancers that you bring in, you want to make sure you have a clear, everybody is on the same page with a clear understanding of the relationships. The third pillar or cornerstone is your intellectual property. Really all your property, but intellectual property is the one that people don't get their heads around very easily. You're going to be creating stuff, even if it's just sales material or posters in the business space or something like that. If you're creating it, there's a copyright involved. If you are building a name for your business, a brand, that's a trademark or service mark issue. And if you're using other people's stuff, then you also have those copyright and trademark issues. So, and then the fourth component, of course, is your relationship with the clients and customers directly. And again, good contracts, good written documents to understand, so everybody has a clear understanding. What's your refund policy? What's your return policy? What's your is there a trial period for what you're creating or not? Those kinds of things.